because the healthy holidays this is exactly what happens during November and December, right? You have 1,900 things you need to be doing. You're flying around. You're trying to cram all of it in, and ultimately, it's one of those things that from a stress perspective, there's more heart attacks, there's more strokes in the November and December than any other month of the year, right? So you're flying around all of the time. So tonight is for nutrition is a big part of it, but also I want to give you guys resources so we can make it to 2022 set up to actually get the year off rolling right. Because most Americans, we blow these 2 months off and then we go, I'll just start over in January, right? It's the holidays, I'll just start in January. And then what ends up happening is the average person in America right now puts on 8 pounds in November and December, and then they lose about 6 in January. And then they do that all year long, and then they go back and they hit the holidays again, they put on another 8 pounds, and then they lose 6, and then do that for 10 years in a row, and you wonder why you have that extra 20 pounds you can't lose. Does that make sense? It all happens in November and December, and the decisions we make and the things that happen to this. So today and tonight is going to be a lot of like action steps, do this, try this, instead of like the big ideas. Because like as we advertise this, as I was working through the PowerPoints, I was thinking mainly was like sugar, stress, diabetes. It was kind of the big focus. The more I got into this and the more I drove around town, like I'm already seeing Christmas trees up. And no one is thinking sugar and diabetes right now. Everybody is looking forward to the holidays. So I just decided we're going to pivot a little bit and we're going to focus more holiday stress and move that direction. Is everybody okay with that? Or does anybody just really want me to dive into diabetes today? No? Okay. And I went overboard with the slides too. So we're going to be flying through some slides. So everybody kind of reach over your left shoulder, grab your seatbelt. And we're gonna buckle it in because we're gonna move through some material tonight too. For those of you guys that don't know, we're part of a network of doctors called Max Living. There's over 450 of us around the country, and so it's one of those things that we're part of a network. So if you guys know anybody anywhere else in the country that you go, man, I wish that your office was somewhere else, they are, right? And so you can get plugged into more and more offices. Or get someone else plugged into it too, which is always exciting. So the holidays always equal. See, you get to come up front. It's better than setting up the kid table in the back.
Is it though?
Maybe. I don't spend too much, hopefully. So we know the holidays typically just equals more, right? It's more stress, it's more food, it's more running, it's more money, it's more just more of everything when it comes to it. So we want to start trying to negate that and actually put together plans and resources that make sense. So we can, again, like we said, we can have holidays the way they're meant to be and that they're a positive thing instead of something that can be negative. We counted it up, started looking, on average, over 6,000 calories on Christmas Day is what most Americans will consume. That is a significant, that's over 3 times what a regular person should consume on any given day. And that's from the pancakes in the morning to the deviled eggs at 11:30 to the pie at 1 to everything built into that. That's where this all comes from. So that's a massive amount. Now, does anybody that's been in the office in the last couple of weeks, we had the pies set out on the table. You guys remember how many calories are in a single pumpkin pie? Right, so it's 3,800 calories typically in an average. If you went to Costco and bought the prepackaged pie, 3,800 calories. It takes about 3,500 calories to put on a pound of fat. So in one day, we're putting on at least 2 pounds, right? So where did the 2 pounds that we never got rid of? Literally on Christmas Day. It could come from that if we do what everybody else is doing. So now through the rest of the holidays, hey Laura, will you hit play on that for me?
Yes, sir.
Thanks. Nice. Most people gain over 500% more weight per week, right? Just because of the way our lifestyle starts running in these next couple of days, or next couple of weeks. And stress is also heightened. This was actually really driven home to me this week, just in the clinic. In the last couple of days, I have seen just people respond and come in more stressed, whether they knew it or not. I get to put my hands on a lot of people every week, and you can put your hand on somebody and tell if they're stressed or not. And it was something that happened on Tuesday, because Monday was not that bad. Yesterday, it was palpable on everybody I touched. So stress is going up. Whether you even choose to acknowledge it or not, it's a thing that we're starting to see. Now, when it comes to, and we know more people are stressed. Now, there are different kinds of stress. So this is an important thing to start understanding is everybody goes, oh yes, I'm stressed. Well, what does that mean? Where does that come from? So there's different kinds of stress that we come across. And ultimately, what this comes down to is why should we have a good lifestyle? Why should we eat the way we do, move the way we do? Why should I get adjusted? It's so that we can your body has the ability to function and handle stress. Because this is where disease actually comes from. So it's a kind of a theory and a principle to where everybody has a bucket, and that bucket is everybody's ability to handle stress. Right? I've used a backpack analogy in the past too. Everybody's got a backpack. Now, as life happens, things are going into that bucket. Now, when the bucket gets too full or starts to overflow, that's when your body starts to break down and starts having problems. So this is where, how do we pull things out of the bucket, and how do we get your body to manage that bucket to where you don't have problems or things turn into problems long term? Does that make sense? So we're managing the bucket tonight. What we got to figure out is where the stresses are coming from. So there's 3 kinds of stresses that we run into. Physical, emotional, and chemical. Also, we call them the 3 T's: thoughts, toxins, and traumas. So an easy way to remember it. Now, physical is the one that most everybody thinks of when they think of stress. When it comes to like physical issues or ailments, this is the one where we see is, I was in a car wreck, or I lifted something weird, or I slept oddly, and we start to see like physical pain come from that. We typically equate that to, oh, this is the physical stress side of things. What I'm actually seeing in the research is majority of the physical problems that your body has to deal with are sustained loads or repetitive micro traumas over time. So one of the biggest things we see is actually like sitting, being too sedentary. Being sedentary in November and December goes up because the weather gets colder, right? We actually end up being inside more. We start sitting more. We start watching more Netflix. We start seeing things actually start becoming more sedentary. And believe it or not, even if you work out up to 3 hours a week, it doesn't negate you being sedentary. So what we're seeing is it doesn't, even if you work out up to 3 hours a week, it doesn't reverse or lower your chances of having a heart attack or building diseases, even though you're being active, because you sit so much, or our culture sits so much. So we have to start working in and getting things moving on a regular basis. Emotional stress. Anybody gonna get around some family members they don't like in the next couple of weeks? Emotional stress is a real thing. Easy way to think about this is anybody walk around and they wear their shoulders like earrings and they're like, I'm not stressed, I'm fine. Like, this is good, right? So that's a physical manifestation of being emotionally stressed. So your body physically is affected by those things. And then chemical stress, this is the biggest one where we talk about food, things that are in our environments, things we put onto our bodies. Those chemicals and the things we come across, mainly is going to be sugar is what we focus on tonight. These are all forms of stress that your body has to deal with. So if we can stop putting so much stress into our body, you feel like your body would be better able to handle the bucket. Okay? Our bucket gets bigger, we start carrying around less stuff in our bucket, which gives us a better chance to be successful on a day-to-day basis. So how do we do this? What are the answers to putting this together? It's always the 5 essentials. Right? Does the 5 essentials, does that sound familiar to everybody? Everybody's heard of the 5 essentials, hopefully. These are the 5 areas of your life. We talk about these in the office that you have to pay attention to. And a disease or a health challenge, 98% of all the diseases and health challenges that we are facing in our culture and our country come from either a toxicity or a deficiency in one or more of these essentials. I would bet my practice on it. And so what I mean by that is if you have high blood pressure, that's going to be either a toxicity or deficiency in a couple of these. Same thing with pain or autoimmune issues or fertility issues, digestive problems. Those are all going to come down to one or more of these topics. So this is why we always talk about these are the ones that are also, we call them essential for a reason, right? It's not like the 5 suggestions, right? It's not like the 5 options, right? These are things that are important. You have to pay attention to these. So first one, we're going to hammer through the big 4, and then we're going to talk about nutrition at the very end. Oxygen and exercise. So, like I said, we tend to sit more than ever through the holiday seasons. We tend to travel more. We're in the car more. So, getting creative and making sure that you continue to work out, even when you have time off, actually builds more momentum. So you actually get the most out of your time off. Has anybody gone or done a workout or worked outside and you actually felt better at the end of it than you did when you first started? Right? So one of the things that I encourage or I challenge you guys to do, and we're seeing this more and more come up. I even looked it up. Tulsa does a turkey trot the day after Thanksgiving. And so actually having those things built into your family or into the people you're going to be spending the holidays with is really, really easy. For people that are going to be spending tons of time in the kitchen in the next couple of months, it's really easy to bust out 10 air squats as you're waiting for your turkey. You put your turkey in the oven and you can do 10 air squats real quick, or do air punches or jumping jacks. You can turn up the music and you can crank this stuff out. So there really is no excuse to not moving throughout your day, right? Getting exercise in is really, really easy. Now, went from a metabolism and like a weight loss or a energy burning approach, hormone approach, the best way to exercise is what we call HIIT training. So it's high intensity interval training. So what we want to do is we want to get your heart rate really, really high for a little bit, and then we can take a break. So you really only need maybe 10 to 15 minutes per day to actually make this effective. And there's been a bajillion apps that have come out with this. Even Apple Fitness. Has anybody used Apple Fitness? Okay, so has anybody even looked at it? So this thing hasn't taken off yet. I was looking on if you have an Apple TV, they have an Apple Fitness app that has 2,000 different workouts on there, and you just pay for them. They're all literally built however you want to use them, for what level of equipment you have, and it's all going to be in Ultra HD with somebody leading it for you. So you don't even have to make up your own workouts now, which is amazing. Max Living, as us as a group, we developed it. It's called Max T3. But it's been out for 10 or 12 years, which is amazing, but it looks like it's straight out of 1998, and it's kind of in a dark dungeon, and it doesn't look, it's not hip anymore. It's like there was a time where like dark looking gyms was the thing, like when P90X first came out, like it looks like P90X. So it's a little bit different. So find something that you like is going to be the big one. Toxins. So when we think about what happens when we start getting ready for the holidays, how do your homes change? I want to hear from you guys.
It smells better.
So how does it smell better?
You got them candles out.
Right?
Yeah.
So candles, and so like the most common brands you run into, like Scentsy. Anybody familiar with Scentsy? Or you go to like Yankee Candle Company. Unfortunately, those things are massively toxic. And you totally put it. You beat me to the punch, right? I was literally going to talk about candles. And so one of the things we know, we start putting those molecules up in the air. Is anybody like sensitive to candles or smells? Like you start getting migraines or headaches really, really easy when you get around them. It's because those are chemicals that aren't good for you. So making sure that you get candles that aren't full of chemicals can be a little bit hard. A couple of things that we really like to do at our house is find a local candle maker that makes them basically in-house. Like there's a place called The Nest down on Cherry Street. Fantastic candles. Another option is using like essential oils in a diffuser. Really easy way you can start getting good smells and things that are going to get into your home that smell festive, right? Because there's nothing better than walking into a house and smelling cinnamon or like the pine cones, and it just smells like holidays. Smells like getting together with family. Like that changes your state of being when you come into those kind of smells.
Boost your immune system too.
Absolutely, yeah. So using like the On Guard drops when you diffuse. So depending if you're a young living person, there's some good ways you can definitely do that. Also, personal care products, perfumes, those kind of things. You want to try to find something that's as natural as you can. Sometimes the perfumes is hard to do, but that's going to be an easy way and a big one that people don't really realize can be causing problems. For trying to manage our bucket, getting adjusted is one of the best things you can do throughout the holidays. So making sure that we're helping your nervous system actually balance and work the way it's supposed to is really, really important, because if you have a good nervous system, your body can handle stress better, right? Has anybody ever experienced like you got adjusted and like your shoulders dropped and you just felt better and you just kind of cruised out of the office? It's because we just pulled a bunch of water, but like we emptied the bucket and then said, okay, have a great day, right? That's what an adjustment does. It pulls all that junk back off of you so you can go back out and have life and gravity continue to happen. So chiropractic is always massive. So especially as we come into what they call flu season, we start seeing stress go up, which lowers your body's ability to fight stuff off, your immune system. We want to make sure we maintain a good level of that as we run through it. Another part is home care, right? You travel, we get around family, we see things happen. I don't know how many times I have gotten thank yous from a family that goes on vacation and they take part of their home care kit, and like somebody in the family has something happen where they sleep weird because they're in a weird bed and they wake up and they can't turn their head, but they have their traction unit. And so they throw it over the door, they do their traction, they're back in, plugged into their vacation, and the things are amazing. Or the wobble cushion, right? The wobble cushion does so much to keep your spine healthy and moving. Like, so you jump in the car and you're like, hey, we got a 12-hour road trip for the holidays. You get out, you've got something you can do that kind of puts you back to ground zero, instead of just saying, well, I gotta wait to go back to my chiropractor in a week after I go through all the stress of being in a different place and dealing with family and all the good things. Even if it's good stress, right? It's still stress when it comes down to it. And then mindset. Does anybody practice like mindset, not really rituals, but patterns now? Like, does any of you guys have like an intentional time where you actually focus on like how you think, what you think about, anything that manages peace in your life? So this is huge. So what we're seeing is, from a research perspective, people that journal on a regular basis, even for like 2 or 3 minutes a day, we see that they have a statistically significant lower amount of anxiety and depression. Like it's a big, like that one habit of just getting and writing things down and working through your thoughts on a regular, maybe not every day, but on a regular basis, significantly changes how people approach life and how they handle challenges. Because now that they're not overwhelmed all the time because they can't get out of their head, now they kind of go, okay, now I can see clearly and I can attack projects and I can get through things. So that's a big one. Also, things, if you're a spiritual person or you believe in God or you go to church, you're reading Bible, prayer, doing those things, those are all significant mindset activities that are going to be promoting peace in your life. So one of this idea of, I need to remove all the stress in my life, it's a lot easier to promote things that give you peace instead of trying to remove the stress. Does that make sense? Because there's a lot of times you can't do anything about the source of your stress. Whether it's a person, whether it's a job, whether it's an environment, or something that happens to you that's out of your control, right? Those are all stressful things that you can't necessarily say, well, I need to remove that, or that's never going to happen to me. But what do I put into my life that is actually just going to be putting me into a state or a place on a regular basis that says, oh, now I'm in I'm vibrating at a different frequency, or I'm in a different state as a person, where now I can go take on the day or the challenge of the week or whatever the world is trying to throw at us. So this is always good. Okay. You guys ready? This is why you're all here, right? We get to talk about food. And full disclosure, I love food. I was always the Mikey in my family. This has been a ongoing kind of journey, is learning the ins and outs. I've lost 40 pounds. I've gained 40 pounds. I've lost more weight again. And so just know that this is there is no perfect nutrition way to eat for everybody, and no one is ever perfect 100% of the time on this. So like I said, as you go into the holidays, I want to give you the best options, and then understand what's going to work for you and your schedule is going to be really important. Great thought. October 31st hits, everybody's got piles of candy, and then we go, well, I just ate 1.5 pounds of my kids' Halloween candy. Now I'm just going to take that approach and just eat out every day. I've got parties, and I've got Christmas events, and I've got the office party, I've got my families. We're going to 4 Thanksgivings because of the way the family's set up. And so basically we just take that and we just go, I'm going to do that for 60 days straight. Right? And so if we can, and we just go, you know what, I'm going to make Thanksgiving, and I'm going to actually build what we call double yellow lines around the rest of the holidays. Makes a massive difference, right? You don't have to eat like it's Thanksgiving every day until January 1st, and then just say, okay, holidays are gone, now I got to try to regain and get a hold of myself. Does that make sense? It's a whole lot easier to maintain and have momentum going into it than it is just to kind of let the wheels fall off and try to regain it. And that goes back to why people have so many problems. So having things let me say this way. As I started to learn how you're supposed to eat and how things are shifting, I want to challenge you and just make you think about this a little bit, because who cares about what people think about them, right? You guys are all lying, I swear. Right? We all, to a certain degree, do care about what people think about us. Most of you guys aren't sociopaths, and you're not a-holes, right? So, so there is a certain level of that for majority of people. Why I say that is this: you're gonna walk into this environment sometimes, and you're gonna be the weird one. That's okay, right? I want you guys to kind of think about that beforehand, where you might be super excited to carry this like big giant bowl of cauliflower mashed potatoes to your next family gathering, and you walk in and you're like, this is so good, it's healthy, it's got butter and garlic in it, and it tastes amazing, and you walk in thinking everybody's gonna be like, oh, amazing, I want to be healthy too, and they all look at you like you're crazy, right? That's okay too, right? So just know that can be a part of you being committed to being healthy and making sure that your life and your bucket is where it should be. Because if everybody was excited about that, would America be healthier or less healthy if everybody had that idea? They'd be healthier, right? Heart disease, cancer, and diabetes would not be the top 3 killers across America, right? We wouldn't be the fattest country in the planet if everybody said, hey, we're going to start moving this direction. And this is so true. So easy things that you can start swapping out. You have a ton of resources out there for us to start making better choices. We just have to choose to do it. So like mashed potatoes, we know starches are not great for you. And everywhere you go, every restaurant that you ever eat at is going to try to give you some form of starch, right? Whether it's a bread or a potato, like that's the standard in our culture. So switching it out for mashed cauliflower, mashed no potatoes, stuffing. Did you guys like the stuffing? Did it taste decent? It may not taste just like, the box stuffing, but it's still pretty good, right? It's grain free. That's just something that's going to keep you happy, keep you healthy. Pumpkin spice lattes. Anybody just like wait for that and the McRib to come out in the fall, right? Those are the things that have become these cultural, like it's November, it's fall time. This is what I look forward to. So switching out for coffee, black coffee with almond milk or cinnamon, or bulletproof coffee. Has anybody ever heard of bulletproof coffee, where you start putting the coconut oil and like the good grass-fed butter in your coffee and you blend it up? Tastes amazing. It's the best latte you'll ever drink. And it's got tons of good fat. It helps fill you up. It keeps you from getting hungry. It's awesome. Apple pie, right? So baked apples with cinnamon. This is an amazingly simple idea, simple recipe that catches that sweet tooth. Like these are just really simple things. Also, this looks really bougie when you do it good. Like you show up with like really nicely cut apples with cinnamon, and they're baked and they're soft. It's like, this is high-end catering kind of stuff, and it's super easy to do, right? So these are fun ways where you can come around and you can make things look really, really good. So the things we got to avoid, right? We talk about promoting good stuff, but the reality of it is we eat way more sugar than we should. One of the things that I had to kind of figure out and battle through with this is when we start looking at the food industry across the whole, whether it be grocery stores, whether it be restaurant chains, whether it be even through like public schools and those kind of things. Majority of those companies, do they exist to make you happy and healthy, and do they care about your family? No. Probably not, right? They're a large business, and what do large businesses usually exist for? Money. To make money, right? It's what typically that's the capitalistic society we live in. So they're going to do that in a way, and they're going to market themselves in a way that tries to make you eat as much of their products as they can, right? We can't be mad at them. That's a game that they jumped into. So understanding that is important. But the other part that we have figured out, and they have figured out, is that sugar is more addictive than cocaine. There's been significant brain studies where they look at brain on sugar and a brain on cocaine, and that the sugar lights up like a Christmas tree when you try to give it to them. So it literally feeds your dopamine centers and your happy, feel-good stuff way more than some other things out there. So if you can hide it in a product, and when you eat it, now it lights you up like you're addicted to a Twinkie, right? It makes sense why they put it in there. But it's something, so we got to start staying away from it. And the other part is what we started to figure out is has anybody ever heard of an anti-nutrient? So when you consume things that are high in sugar, or you put like, I'm going to have a little sugar with something else, it actually blocks your body's ability to absorb nutrients. So sugar shuts down your digestion, so you can't get the good stuff in, right? So say you ate a some more of the roasted vegetables that we had tonight, but then you had like a Coke with it. Like you're not going to digest and you're not going to get the good stuff from the vegetables into your body because the sugar blocked it. Does that make sense? And so with that now it starts getting frustrating because you're like, well, I ate the good stuff, right? I should get some of the other stuff too, right? Yeah.
Do the sugars that our bodies get from like potatoes and breads do the same thing?
So
Even
they,
though it's not like
it's not straight sugar. So the grains and starches affect us a little differently. Maybe not from an absorption perspective, but from a insulin perspective, it's actually more significant on the grain side and the starch side than it actually the sugar side. And where we figured this out, and I revisit, it's always good. I love doing these talks because this gets me plugged back into these things too. And I came back across some research that showed where they looked and they figured out how they figured out the glycemic index. Have you guys ever heard of that term, the glycemic index? So it's a list of foods and how it affects your insulin levels and how hard it's going to hit you from an energy perspective. Meaning like how hard are you going to crash? And so what they did is they take glucose or basically straight liquid sugar is like on that scale is 100. So that's like the highest. And then, water or something that has none is 0. So on that, table sugar is around 50. What they figured out is they started looking at all these different products because they're trying to put a list together. And wheat bread, right? Heart healthy wheat bread is 78 on that scale. So, and where they showed this out in the media is Oprah did this and showed it because this research had just come out. So Oprah had 2 ladies on her show and they gave one of them a Snickers and they gave one of them a slice of bread and they checked their blood sugar an hour later. Guess which one was higher? The bread.
Yeah.
Right? And so they're going, holy crap. This is a new thing because everybody's going, oh yes, do the heart healthy whole bread, instead of the other stuff. And so, yeah.
Stevia actually is higher than sugar too.
On the glycemic index?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. So it'll be something, so then we want to minimize it if we can. Right, for sure. Now it is going to be easier on some of your other hormones too, so we want to use stevia because it doesn't make you inflamed and some of the other things with that. Has anybody ever? I run into this a lot when I talk to patients and I go through nutrition stuff and they're like, I don't eat sugar, I don't eat candy, right? Or I don't do bread. Has anybody ever thought that? I know I've gone through seasons in my life where I'm like, I'm doing good. Like I'm avoiding sugar, I'm doing my stuff, and then I start thinking about it, I'm like, well, no. So sugar is hidden in a lot of things. So this is the list of basically things that you'll find on an ingredient label that are still sugar. So I know it's kind of a little hard to read, but let's see, we've got about 15 different words times 4. And there's probably more than this, but so as you look at an ingredient label, just know, easy way to catch it, anything that ends in OSE is a sugar, anything that has the word sugar in it, are things that typically you want to try to stay away from. And this is again, going to making decisions and saying, okay, I'm trying to reduce the amount of sugar that goes into my body. We have to know what's in the products that we buy. Yeah.
So would you suggest just cutting out completely instead of swapping for a healthier?
Depends. It depends on your personality, right? Some people, and what you're willing to do. If you're 100% committed and you're like, I'm going to go for this, or you've built up a kind of a rhythm to doing something like that, go for it. Yeah, your sugar is not an essential nutrient, right? Your body does not need carbohydrates to work. Kind of crazy when you think about it, right? We think, well, I need energy. Well, your body is very good at it can take protein, it can take fats, and it turns those things into energies. Just as well as if you were just a consumer, eat a fruit or a vegetable or something sugary too. So yeah, so you can eliminate it. That's why keto has become such a thing, right? Going all fat, all protein, and cutting out the carbohydrates because it's not essential, right? So it's doable for sure. Okay, so now the other part, and this has actually been this has been around a while, but this is starting to become back into the mainstream when we start looking at people that are insulin resistant or people that have a lot of mood issues or hormone issues as they go up and down, or they're having trouble losing weight, is that when you consume sugar, it destroys a trace mineral called chromium. So your body no longer absorbs it. Actually, it forces, it kind of tells your body to get rid of chromium when you eat a lot of sugar. What chromium is designed for is basically it is the trace mineral that helps promote insulin sensitivity. So we know when we eat sugar, insulin goes up, or carbohydrates, right? We do that, insulin goes up, your body produces insulin to lower your blood sugar and kind of keep you in this homeostatic, happy energy medium. Chromium is a key part of that process, and when you don't have it, it starts promoting insulin insensitivity, so it makes you basically starts promoting diabetes for you when you don't have enough chromium. What a lot of the research has started showing is it's starting to affect a lot of things like even like PCOS, right? I came across some really interesting research that shows that deficiencies in chromium can promote things like PCOS and some of the other digestive problems with this too. Big one that suggests that really leans towards this is if you have a lot of energy swings where you just can never really get your energy to be stable. Like you feel good some days, or then you just crash, or you just can't keep things going. Is a big one. And then also if you're just feel like you're doing a lot of the right stuff, but you're still not losing weight, or you still can't get things rolling, you just feel like something's off. Chromium deficiency can be a big part of this too. So this is one that I'm actually, full disclosure, I am just starting this. I'm excited to try this because I think this is something that goes, oh yeah, this could be the kind of one of those little missing links that you roll into that keeps you moving forward.
Is that something that can be tested for?
It is. Yeah, it's a blood test. It's a regular blood test is not great for it. You want to do the test that checks for it inside your cells. I don't know the name of that test, but I can try to figure it out much now.
I wondered if the other doctor.
Dr. Steve would definitely know. Yeah. The other part is what's great is he can just test you for it. Right? You can say you hold it and be like, do you need this or not? And do muscle testing with it, which is still baffles me, but it's so cool.
Are you taking chromium as a supplement?
Correct. Yeah. And so, like I said, literally just started, so I can't say yay or nay on how it's going.
I actually just started too.
Oh, cool.
Like 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Well, there you go.
But I have PCOS.
So how's it been?
It's good.
Good.
I like it.
See, so things are moving in the right direction.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, yeah, well, cool. Well, yeah, keep me in the loop. So that's exciting to see, when things kind of line up and everything goes in the right direction. Have you ever heard that sugar causes inflammation? Right. Mm-hmm. So, and this is one of those things that I, when talking to patients, and you guys probably may even know somebody like this in your life, that it could be an office or just in your circles where they hurt all of the time, and you say, well, did you go to the chiropractor? Well, yeah. Or they always have achiness, or they don't move good and they're slow, and you're like, man, you just look like you're just hurting. And then you see well, what did you eat for breakfast? Well, I had 2 donuts. And you're like, okay, well, you weren't moving that bad yesterday, and so it's one of those things that I have these conversations where it's really interesting, where people will literally are just eating pain when you think about it. Like if your joints and your nervous system is not where it should be, and we consume especially things like donuts and these highly refined carbohydrates, it's going to cause pain. It causes inflammation. It causes swelling to be a systemic problem. Now, what's interesting with this is the #1 cause of heart disease or heart attacks, so clogged arteries. It is not too much fat. It's not the wrong type. It's not a high fat diet that causes that. It's chronic inflammation. So if we think about sugars creating inflammation, so now we know that breads, sugars, and a bad standard American diet is what causes heart disease and promotes heart attacks and strokes, not necessarily I ate too much red meat. Does that make sense? Now there's a difference that you want to make sure you get the right meats, but this is becoming more significant, and I wish the other communities out there would start realizing this, because it's cool when you start pulling this out, your body can actually heal arteries and keep them moving right when you give them the right things. The other part with this too, when it comes to sugars, everybody knows the white sugar cube's bad, but then they go, well, what about my banana in my smoothie every morning? Right? Or what about the pineapple and some of these other fruits that we know have sugar in them? The biggest difference, so obviously these are the really bad. Actually, artificial sweeteners are worse than these. But then when we come to these, they're better. See, we know why they're a little bit better. So like when you eat an apple, what's that?
Because it's natural sugar.
It's natural. So fructose is a big part of the biggest thing is that most of the time you're consuming fiber with it. So every like keto people that go, oh yeah, I look at the carbohydrates minus the fiber, it gives me my total, right? So the more fiber that is in your fruits, the better off it's going to be. So that's why it makes them less aggressive. Now fructose specifically is the number one cause of fatty liver disease. So you don't want to be just crushing a ton of fruits every day. You want to do it in moderation, or go for the lower glycemic fruits like grapefruits and green apples and those kind of things. Yeah.
Do you think eating the right fruit in the right season plays a big impact on that?
It's never a bad idea to try to line up with the way God's planned things out around us. You know, I mean, the more we can dive into that and the more you can get in line with it and tune with it, it's only going to be a good thing. Yeah. The other thing part with that is a big part of the things called lectins. So our food industry has gotten really good at making sure that they keep produce fresh enough so they can ship it 3,000 miles and have it ripe at research. So when you get a orange that's from Mexico, it was probably picked 2 weeks prior to that, and it was really, really green. A lot of times what they'll do is they'll spray a chemical on it once it gets here to ripen them. And so that's where you'll end up with that's how you can get a fruit from halfway around the world and actually get it here where you can consume it without it going bad. The other part is, so what a lectin is and this is what's cool about nature, is the lectins are built-in, it's a built-in defense system for fruit trees to keep animals and bugs from eating the fruit. So what it does is if you take like a really green orange, right, before it gets there, it's got a lot of lectins in it, and the lectins are very, very bitter. They promote a lot of allergic and like swelling and allergy problems if you consume them. That's why eating unripened fruit tastes so bad, like it's really bitter. And so it's because of all the lectins that are in it. Same thing with vegetables, like your peppers and a lot of those things that come from a long ways away. Nightshades is a big one with that too. Eggplants, tomatoes, those kind of things. So if you have lots of lectins, and so what that is that's nature trying to say, hey, don't eat this thing yet, it's not ripe. Because what the plant has to do is it has to let those seeds mature enough inside the fruit so it can actually try to reproduce and go live on and pass its genetics down to another tree or whatever it's trying to plant next to it. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So that's how it's trying to live on, is by like saying, hey, don't touch the seeds, right? The seeds aren't ready yet until until it's ripe. Once it's ripe, then they say, hey, yeah, okay, bird, come eat it, because now I want you to take my seeds 2 miles over and plant them for me. So that's kind of where the lectin part, and going the more local you can, the better, right? Farmers markets are amazing. The one that was at Cherry Street that's now at Whittier Square is awesome. And we love, and they're also putting a store in, if you guys ever really want to dive into this, over on the end of Cherry Street, that has all local farms, all local produce, and it's going to basically be a grocery store that you can just walk through. So it's kind of a 24/7 farmers market, which is cool. So any holiday partiers? Yeah. Right? Does anybody have to go to hang out with people, and you have friends and office parties and all these things, right? So, and have any of you guys been trying to do really good, like from a lifestyle perspective, and you're like, I know they're gonna have macaroni and cheese and I'm just not gonna be able to turn it down, right? So having a strategy going into social gatherings is really important, right? So some easy can-dos. It's okay to eat a little bit before you go, right? And so you can knock down some of the hunger pangs, so you're not doing everything just chowing down on food as you sit and hang out with people. Focus on activities. If people are playing games, do that instead of sitting at the table or sitting around the bar, which is always good. Get involved. Don't linger near the food table. Because anybody had the conversation next to the deviled eggs, and you're like, where did the entire sheet of deviled eggs go by the end of the conversation?
That was Laura.
Okay. I was gonna say good. I'm glad I'm not the only one. Sriracha deviled eggs are really good too. If you guys look at a refreshed recipe, so good. And there's really nothing bad in it too when you think about it. Deviled eggs are really good for you. It's a good source of protein for sure. So if we're looking for a good recipe, one that you can make healthy, deviled eggs are kind of already healthy.
What's the mayo swap?
You can make your own mayonnaise, which is super easy. It takes like 20 seconds in a blender. It's egg whites and I think cream. I have to look it up, but I think there's like 2 or 3, and lime juice. I think there's like 2, maybe 3 ingredients.
Okay.
Yeah, you make your own. Veganase would be the other replacement that you can get at either Reese's or Natural Grocers. Plan ahead, right, is a big easy one. Bring your own healthy dish, right? So be the weird one that walks in with the mashed potatoes and say like, hey, this is the healthy stuff. You know, I'm gonna eat some of this, and this is what's gonna fill me up, and then you minimize what you're doing on the other stuff. Or start making friends that want to eat the way you do too, and then you guys focus on you guys getting together and having those encounters so you can have all the good stuff that goes with it. And then when you go to the grocery store, stay on the outside of the grocery store. Have you guys ever heard this trick? Right? Because what's on the inside of the grocery store?
Processed junk.
Yeah, so absolutely. All the bagged in the box stuff, right? The stuff that you don't want to be eating. So staying on the outside is the easy way to get it in and out of it. There we go. Okay. And then other ways to think about this too, and I know I did talk about this a little bit earlier, but it's still, we talked about how sugar can still block some of the absorption of nutrients. Still doesn't mean you shouldn't still eat the good stuff. Yep. So the donut doesn't completely cancel out the carrot. Right? Still eat the carrot. It's not one or the other. Does that make sense? So it's still okay. You still eat the things that you know are good for you. They're gonna have fiber. They're gonna keep everything moving. And you can balance your blood sugar with food, which is really, really, I mean, it's empowering to know, and it's easy to do. Just say like, well, if I'm gonna do the pie, I should still do the vegetables as well, especially with our kiddos, right? If we know the kids want the dessert, which who doesn't, you know, make sure that they eat something good before they get to it. I think that's a reasonable approach. Sweeteners, right? Just like you said. So what, you know, okay, if sugar is this bad, what do I sweeten stuff with? The biggest downfall in our culture with this is the pink packets and the blue packets and the yellow packets and all the artificial sweeteners that are out there. So what we know is they're somewhere between 200 and 600 times sweeter than sugar, and they are a known one carcinogen. They cause cancer, but they also attack your nervous system. So it literally goes after the one system that controls everything, and it gets in the way, and it impedes your body's ability to function when you consume artificial sweeteners. And what the research also shows is it makes you more diabetic. It actually promotes insulin resistance. So when you go to a nutritionist and they say, oh, you're diabetic, you should do Diet Coke instead of regular Coke. Really, really bad advice. And I don't mean anybody that gives that advice needs to just update their information, right? It's one of those biggest things that we gotta get away from when it comes to making things sweet. Some of my preferred sweeteners that I really like Truvia it's a kind of, or Swerve. So Swerve is probably my go-to. It's the one it's the stevia that doesn't have the on the back end of it, and so you can use it for baking and cooking. You can get it in the convection form where it's powdered, which is what's in the whipped cream, or you can get it in a granular if you need to do a granular type of sugar or something like that. So yeah, those are my two favorite that I go to. You can use it for just about anything. Now, do the two work terms or advanced plan or core plan mean anything to any of you guys? No? Okay. I failed you. So with Max Living as a network, we've put together a eating plan that's really easy to follow. It's sustainable. It's going to be anti-inflammatory, and it's going to move everything in the right direction for you. And it's easy to, it's basically the best way to eat. So if you're looking for like, how do I do this long term? What are the rules do I live by? The advanced plan and the core plan are the best ways to do it. Advanced plan is always the healing plan. It's a little bit restricted. It's got a little less grains on it. But the core plan is great for everybody. It's a well-rounded, sustainable way to eat. And so there's a couple ways I can get you that information. The easiest way we found is we put it into ebooks. And so like literally all you have to do is text a line or advanced plan to our office, and you will get that ebook. So does everybody have their phones with them? Mm-hmm. Okay, everybody pull out your phone, right? We're gonna do it right now, unless you've already done it. Does everybody already have the ebook? You do? Okay. Yeah? Have you read it? Okay, good. Yeah, what's that?
I have one of the boxes already.
Oh,
The
cool.
advanced one.
Yeah,
So,
I love it. So all you gotta do is you're gonna pull up, start a new text to 918-340-5923. You'll probably pop up to all of your appointment reminders, right? And then you just gotta type in all caps, Align, L-I-G-N,
Could you give that number one more time, please?
918-314. Nope, that's my
That's
cell phone. 340-5923.
What do we text? Align?
Align, L-I-G-N. And once you send that text, and then you can text Advance Plan, no D in there. So ADVANCEPLAN. And that'll give you it's basically a recipe book that comes with that too. So if you're looking for healthier recipes, start incorporating into your daily life, really easy way to do it. And then the third resource, and I love this, is on our website. Have you guys ever been to our website? We have a really great website, in my opinion. WillFamilyChiro.com has an entire list of about 25 pages of recipes. Everything from desserts to tacos to meatloaf. I mean, there's healthy chicken wings. I mean, they're all in there. And what's really, really I love about the website when we put it together is when you go to print the recipe, we literally put it into the software where you can, if you want the picture of it, you can either put it in or pull it out, and then you can pick how many people you want to cook for. So if you're like, hey, the meatloaf, I need to serve that for 12 people, you literally just go in and click, like, I need 4 times the serving, and it changes all of your ingredients, it changes all the steps, so it's actually shifts everything to exactly the size that you need it for. So if it ends up becoming a family favorite and you're like, I need to make more of this, you can go back and then just adjust it and tune it. So that's one of the things I love with that. You just go Will Family Chiro, up on the top, there's a little tab that says healthy articles and healthy recipes, and you can just start digging in there and find whatever you want. Now, on the day-to-day with this, one of the best ways you start regulating your energy and your blood sugar. So this is what we always want to do. We want to start keeping your blood sugar as stable as we can. We don't want the roller coaster throughout the day. Does that make sense? Best way we do that is by fixing breakfast or breaking your fast with good proteins and as little carbohydrates as possible. So when you think about breakfast food, what are the big things in majority of breakfast foods? Carbs, right? So eggs, sure, and then you get your bacon, okay, but then almost always there's toast, there's potatoes, hash browns, pancakes, biscuits, right? All these carbs that go into that. So when you start your day off with even just a little bit of carbohydrates, it sends your insulin levels, sets them up to do this throughout the day. To where if you get it to where it's fats and proteins, it actually you're setting up for sustained good healthy energy all the way through. This is actually really important. This is when it comes to working out. I am actually a fan of working out and not eating. So you always, if you work out in the morning, you want to work out in a fasting state is better for your hormones than taking a pre-workout or trying to get something in before you go, right? So that is not a popular. If you were to go ask 90% of your trainers, they'll tell you need to eat carbohydrates before you go work out because you need energy and you know. So it's not the mainstream thought when it comes to that, but I've been doing it for 5 or 6 years, and I'm definitely.
It teaches your body to use the fuel it already has stored.
Correct.
Instead of the fuel that you put in.
Exactly. Yeah. It makes you help run on fat instead of on sugar.
Yeah.
As far as your fuel sources, which helps you promotes fat burning instead of fat storing too. And then once you eat or once you work out, then you want to refill with good proteins and fats so you can rebuild everything. Shakes and smoothies are a great way to break your fast. Any intermittent fasters in here? Right? So I do too sometimes. Yeah. Intermittently intermittent for sure. So what intermittent fasting is basically you just pick a 8-hour window every 24 hours, and that's the time that you allow yourself to eat. So you can even scrunch it down to like 4 hours if you want to really go after it, or just do 1 meal a day. It's called OMAD is another form of it. What we're seeing from the research is it helps balance blood sugar, it helps energy production, but it also it helps maintain muscle mass while losing fat percentage. So this is one of those ones that if people are concerned about maintaining muscle mass while you lose weight, That's one of the best ways to do it is with intermittent fasting. But when you break your fast, right, break fast, you want to make sure that you're staying away from the carbohydrates or you're doing a smoothie. I love these because this takes me 35 seconds to throw together. I can do it in a run or a pinch, and I know I'm getting good stuff that's going to help me and move me on throughout the day, instead of just grabbing something quick or being tempted by rolling through somewhere and getting something that I shouldn't be getting. So one of the facts I had to come to terms with this probably 2 years ago is everybody needs to be taking some type of supplementation. We can't eat all of the right foods and get everything we need. It's a fact of life. We need to be taking some type of supplementation. The proteins that we have a plant protein, a grass-fed whey, and then a pure path. This comes from bone broth. This is a very good, really, really good. It's a healing protein that's really good for your gut if you have gut issues. All three are the best quality that you can get out there. So that's the other part when it comes to supplementation. It's not a regulated industry. So you have to find something that you trust, that you know is not garbage. Max Living works really, really hard to make sure that you have good products. And we're not a supplement company too, which means that it's going to be cheaper, right? Our job isn't to go out and make the biggest margins on this as we can. If you are trying to maintain or balance out your insulin or your blood sugar levels, and like this is a focus where you're really trying to help your mood stabilize and get everything going, there's a couple of supplements that we always say you should be taking. So the glucose support's a big one. The whey protein or any protein is good. The other one is a good fiber supplement. That's a horrible picture. The Pure Path Fiber, I started taking this one personally, and it made a massive difference for me, just in how I felt. I felt a lot lighter throughout the day, mainly because my digestion was actually wasn't so sluggish. Right? If you've ever kind of experienced, I was always a meat and cheese kid. Like I just didn't eat a lot of green and vegetable stuff. And so I didn't get a lot of fiber into my diet. So what that does is that creates a sluggish digestive tract, right? So things just don't move and process the way they're supposed to. So that with the chromium and then the glucose support is basically, if you're just trying to, if you know like, hey, I want my blood sugar levels to change, these are the three supplements that you should be taking to move it in the right direction. Yeah, so there's what the Pure Path looks like. If you're not taking an essential or a multivitamin, it's one of those things. It's easy to do, and it really does. It captures and catches and fills a lot of gaps. The two that we have are really, really simple. There's 5 different supplements in here with a multivitamin, and it basically hits all the check boxes that basically 90% of Americans need to be taking anyway, right? Everybody has heard you need to take a vitamin D supplement, you need to take an omega supplement, magnesium is really important, and you probably need a multivitamin. Does anybody disagree or not? Never heard that? Right, those are all pretty common things. They're all in that, and they make it really easy in one simple packet. And they're actually dialed for men or women. So like the men has Sal Palmetto, and it has good like prostate health, and it's focused for that, where the women is more on the hormone side to keep menopause and the hormone regulation that goes with that, to keep all of that in check too. So they're really good products. And then the other thing I noticed this week is, anybody else's sinuses go crazy when the temperatures changed? Right? I would say 8 out of 10 people that came in my office this week have all been like, hey, can you do that thing where you pound on my forehead and pull on my ears? Because that opens up your sinuses. It works really good. It's called I call it the Sinus Special. Now so with this, if we know, hey, I'm coming into seasons where I need to boost my immune system, right? How do I do that? Especially in the world we live in with the COVID, with all of those things out there. How do we make sure that we don't get it, or how do we make sure our immune system is functioning at its best? Because ultimately, we are not going to take a weakened individual and change the environment around them. Let's take the individual and make them strong so they can go into the environment and be okay. Does that make sense? This is how you do it. Vitamin D, garlic, and parsley is amazing probiotics. Vitamin C and daily defense. These are all easy ways to do that. Any questions about anything so far?
Go back one. The D3 in probiotics, is that D3 plus probiotic 50B, or is it a different probiotic?
It's a different probiotic. And that's basically, that probiotic is designed to help this absorb. So you get better absorption. If you're trying to change your gut biome, you want to try to do the 50B with it. Because that's for 50 billion different types of good stuff.
Well, would, I don't know the other doctor's name.
Dr. Steve
Steve,
Corcoran, yeah.
yes, okay. Would he be a good person to talk to in my situation with one kidney?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, because I can talk to my kidney doctors all day, but when it comes to supplements
Sure.
that aren't, you know, FDA regulated or whatever,
Sure.
they're very.
They're worried, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
tentative. Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't even know if I want to bother asking them.
Right.
They're just gonna tell me no, we don't know.
Sure.
So.
Yeah. Yeah. No, Dr. Steve would be a great person to talk to
Okay.
about that. Yeah. No, that's a great idea for sure. Okay. So, does everybody feel like they just got a fire hose blasted for a good 30 minutes, maybe? Okay. So my heart and my goal for tonight is for you guys to actually sit down with your calendar, look at your travel, look at your weekly schedule and rhythms for the next till the end of the year. And I want you to start I want you to build out and be a planner when it comes to the events and how you're going to approach Thanksgiving. How are you going to approach Christmas? Are you going to build in some extra workouts or some fun activities for your families when you're going? Another great way to get exercise on Thanksgiving is actually go do the old, the good old American, like go outside and play catch after you eat. It's amazing how a little bit of movement makes you feel so much better after a big meal. Compared to what majority of us have done for so many years, where you eat a giant meal and then we all wander on the couch and fall asleep watching football.
Food coma.
Right? What?
Food coma.
Absolutely, right? That there's a reason why people call it that, because it's literally you're giving your body is shutting down, trying to process all of the what you just gave it.
Also, only eat to 80% satiety.
So this is really interesting that you bring this up, because is anybody here speak French? Okay,
Well,
so
I took 5 years, but I'm not fluent.
okay, so maybe you can confirm that. So I heard this from a mentor. He explained it to me, and basically, in the French language, there's no word for full. And what he explained is, he said that the way that they say it, they just say, "I'm no longer hungry." Right. So, and the French are some of the healthiest people out there and they have more carbs and more oil and more their diet is very different from ours. But from a rhythm perspective, they don't eat till they're full. They eat till they're no longer hungry. Right? Very different approach, right? So when you go into your meals, you eat till you're no longer hungry. And what's really interesting is a great keyword, or kind of your body's telling you something, is have you ever been eating something and then you take a deep breath and then you go back to eating more? Right? That deep breath is your body saying, "Hey, you're good. Like, you don't need more. You've got everything you need." So if you find yourself going, "Oh, I need to breathe while you're eating," like, that's a great sign that you're done, right? And if you can do that more often, you're gonna see that you consume a lot less, which is easy to do, especially when you go eat out. Majority of the time, you could probably split every entree or every meal everywhere you go. You probably cut it in half, and you would be just fine. Actually, if you do, I challenge you to try it. Eat half of it, or even just say, "I'm going to order this and take half of it, throw it in a box, and eat it later." You probably won't still be hungry at the end of that meal. Does that make sense? So it's an easy rhythm. That's a little life change that over time it pays big dividends when it comes down to it. Now, so we did a lot of the 5 essentials around nutrition, exercise, mindset. These are all approaches that go with this. And but I always like to go back to the foundation, which is getting adjustments in chiropractic, right? If you're not getting adjusted, you're not holding on or helping your nervous system function the way it's supposed to, the lifestyle stuff doesn't help as much, right? It really doesn't matter as much. And what I mean by that is I run into people every week that did all the right stuff, right? They did keto, they worked out all the time, they did the detoxes, they spent a ton of money on mindset and keeping their mental health in check, and they still end up with cancer, or they still end up with a horrible health diagnosis. They end up with a heart attack, or they have a stroke, and they're like, "Well, what do you mean? I was doing everything right." But they weren't working on the one organ, the one system that controls how big their bucket is. Does that make sense? So we have to make sure that your spine and your nervous system is functioning at a level that that can help you handle the stresses that you're under. Does that make sense? Now, a couple of events that are coming up. One is Angel Tree. Anybody already pick up an Angel Tree person? We have old people this year too, which is awesome. Okay, so has anybody ever done Angel Tree in the past? Right, super fun, right? We get to take care of kids that are not going to get a Christmas. They get an opportunity to get somewhat of a Christmas. So we committed to 40 angels this year. We doubled it from last year because we felt like we could do it. So if you guys are interested in that, talk to Laura. She'll get you guys an angel. We have to have everything back by December 3rd in order to get it over to where we need it to be. The other side of that too is last year we went and volunteered with the Salvation Army, where we went and packed bags and put stuff together for kids. This was a ton of fun. If you guys have any interest in that, we'll be putting that out either on the Facebook page or through Review Wave, where you get your texts on what times will be available, and we'll be getting sign-up sheets for that too. So if you haven't put a community project out for the holidays, go on and serve. You know, if that's something you haven't done, this is a great opportunity to go do that. And then the last part, and this is one I'm actually really, really excited about. How are we doing on time? Oh, nice. I flew through that. Right. Normally I'm a little more long-winded, so you're welcome. So this one is going to happen starting December 1st. And this is one of those fun, like, I'm a kid that loves winning stuff. Like I wrote, like, when you win a raffle, like as I was growing up as a kid, I remember I was part with my grandpa one time, and I was like drawing raffles from this fishing club fundraiser, and I was just happened to be with him, and we're picking, and I picked my name literally three picks in a row. I picked myself, and everybody was like, "This thing's rigged." It really wasn't, but it's like nothing feels better than winning something. Would you guys agree? Makes you feel special. So what we're going to be doing here in the office is you get an opportunity to win something for yourself, but you also get an opportunity for someone that you care about to win when it comes to their health and getting their spines and their getting them plugged into the office. So the way this is going to work is we're doing 12 days of a Christmas giveaway. So what this means is if you have somebody in your circles that you just know that they need to be in the office, whether that be for nutrition, for exercise, for getting their spine adjusted, start correcting their spine. What you do is we're gonna have ornaments, and they're gonna be put up, and I think we got some little rave cards that just got dropped off.
Over there, by you.
Oh, nice. So take one and pass them around. So these got printed in a hurry, which is awesome. So what's gonna happen is you have the opportunity to buy an ornament. Ornaments are $52, and you get to pick who you give it to. So this can go to a friend, it can go to a coworker, it can go to Crazy Uncle Eddie when you see him at Thanksgiving. If he's close enough to drive here, you can pick anybody in your circle that you want to give that to. But what that $52 gives you is gets you entered into a raffle. Now what we're doing is we're drawing a prize every day. So say you bought an ornament, you get a raffle ticket. December 1 comes around, we pull out of it. You don't get picked, you stay in the raffle. And so what we're gonna be giving away is like spa packages, we're gonna be giving away product deals, we're gonna be giving away swag bags, we're gonna be moving up as the prizes go along. And I even confirmed it, I'm gonna pull the trigger and get one of the new Vitamix bullets, or the Vitamix ones. Have you seen these? Everybody knows what a Vitamix is, or heard of a Vitamix at least. They're like they're the best blender on the planet. They're built like a Chevy pickup truck. They last 30 years. You can make soup with them. I mean, they're
warranty.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they are the creme de la creme when it comes to kitchen appliances. And so we're gonna have one that we're gonna be giving away on the 12th day. They came out with a countertop edition that's a little more narrow, it's a little more sleek. Like I've got the one, and it takes up some land, some square footage on our countertop. And so there's gonna be the little sleeker one. We're gonna be giving that away. So this is a great, like I said, this is just an opportunity, like I said, to think about people around you and get them in the office so we can start helping them too. Because all of you guys have been affected by our office in one way or the other. I mean, I can confidently look around the room and know that I've taken care of almost all of you guys, and it's just it's exciting to think about who else is out there that we can go help. So it always feels better to give than it does to receive. So this is an easy way to do that. Also, if you guys want to tonight, if you want to pick up or pay for your ornament, we don't have them out yet, but they will be up by the beginning of next week. You'll get 2 raffle tickets instead of just 1 for every ornament you buy. So easy way.
So this ornament is a gift to somebody else to come in for an adjustment, but you also entered into a raffle.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So you get something out of it, and they get something out of it, which is nice. Sweet. Any other questions, guys? Okay.
We do have product specials this evening.
That
as
is
well.
true. Look at Laura's always, she is the one that keeps me on track. Always. So if you guys want, so with all of our workshops, how many of you guys have come to more than one workshop? More than 2? Yeah, for sure. You're a veteran, Jay, for sure. So what we do is all of our workshops, all of our products are all 20% off tonight. So anything you want to buy, anything on the shelves is all 20% off. We'll just do that across. We'll do that across the board. Normally we do 20 for the bundles, and then we do 15 for everything else. But what we bundled together for you guys, if you're wanting the blood sugar bundle, so that's all bundled together. So that's the chromium, the pure prep fiber, and the glucose support. You can get that all as a bundle. Second thing is the immune boost. So if you're like, you know what, I know my sinuses and I just have been feeling cruddy and I just know I need some type of supplementation, the immune boost bundle is the way to go.
And we can have those sent directly to you
Yeah.
if you'd like, but
Yeah, we can definitely do that. We can drop ship it straight to your house, especially with the holidays. It can get a little tough with us being closed. Kid bundle, that is your max living multivitamin for the kids with their detox. And then the gut bundle. So this one, I love this one because it has the gut renew in it, the probiotics, and then the digestive enzymes. This is for the one that just knows you're going to abuse yourself for the next couple of months, or over Thanksgiving or in Christmas, and you're like, you know what, I know it's not gonna be good, and then for the following days after that, you don't want to feel like garbage. These are the great supplements that help pull you out of that. Does that make sense? So this is a great bundle to say, you know what, this is something that I know is going to help me get through the holidays. It's not necessarily, we're not addressing cause, we're more addressing symptoms with it, but it's better to at least do that than do nothing too. So awesome, guys. Okay, so that's all we have for tonight. I think we have lots of pie, we have lots of stuffing. Take as much as you guys want. Cool, awesome, thanks.
and anybody that wants angels or needs any product, I can help you over here at the desk.